On that birthday, all I wanted was one thing: the dream cake with green frosting and sweet sprinkles. I made it clear to him, even sending him the link. But when he walked in, empty-handed, I couldn't help but feel disappointed. Would he listen to me? Would the gift I dreamed of arrive on time? And when everything was finally settled, would I feel the happiness I had hoped for? I had mentally prepared myself for a special day, one where I would be loved and cared for in the way I wanted. I knew I wasn't the type to hide my desires, and this time was no exception. This year for my birthday, I wanted something simple. The dream cake I had imagined for so long. A chocolate-flavored cake with smooth strawberry frosting and topped with colorful rainbow sprinkles. I sent him the link to the ice cream shop near our house, where they made cakes like that, and hoped he would understand exactly what I wanted. "I want this cake," I wrote in the message, "with chocolate, strawberry, and those colorful sprinkles." He quickly replied, "Okay, I'll check it out and order it." I could tell he was busy, probably working in a hectic environment, but I couldn't help but feel a little excited. It was my birthday, and I wanted everything to be perfect. Surely, asking for just one cake wasn't too much. I thought he would get it, because this was a simple request, yet I felt that this time might be different. This time was my birthday. Without hesitation, I asked him to pick the flavors I liked. Part of me, I have to admit, wanted to be sure he would get the exact cake I dreamed of. It wasn't the first time I had to state my wishes clearly, but somehow I had a feeling this time would be different, because it was my birthday. Just a few moments later, he replied, "You get 2 flavors, but you can only choose one color for the frosting." I couldn't contain my excitement. "Cookies and cream," I replied quickly. He responded, "Okay, I'll pick those 2 flavors." But then something in his reply made me feel a little uneasy. "What color do you want on top?" he asked, almost as if he were fishing for more information. "Is green okay?" I answered, hoping that the shop would have that color available. "Yeah, it's fine," he replied briefly, but then I heard the faint sound of his fingers tapping on the phone as if he were looking for something else. Looks like you can only order a whole cake," he said, his tone a bit uncertain. "No slices available, just the whole thing." I froze for a second. "So what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. "I don't think you'll eat the whole cake," he said, as if he were already figuring out the cost and thinking about how much of it I would actually eat. "Then so what?" I repeated, a bit irritated. "I want the whole cake. And don't worry, I'll eat it." But I couldn't deny that I was starting to feel a little uncomfortable inside. Was he really understanding what I wanted? Could he sense how important this cake was to me on my birthday? I wasn't asking for much, just a small gift, but maybe that's exactly what I needed from him. Care and respect for my wishes. $30 is kind of a lot, he said, sounding like he was considering the price. "Are you sure you really want it?" "I want it," I said firmly. I wanted that cake. I wanted to feel special on my day, and I didn't think I needed to explain any further. "Okay," he said, his tone still unsure, but I think he realized that I truly wanted that cake. My birthday began like any other ordinary day, but in my heart, everything felt different. I didn't expect much. Just the cake, a small gift that would make me feel special on this day. After talking to him, I felt reassured that he would follow through with what I wanted. He promised to buy the cake I loved, and I thought everything would go smoothly. I had planned everything for the evening, setting up a cozy space at home, just the 2 of us, with the dream cake and light snacks I had prepared. I imagined that when he walked in, holding the cake, my face would light up with happiness. Surely he would see the joy in my eyes, and I would feel the care he had for me. However, like so many times before, anxiety and restlessness crept over me. Even though I had made it clear that I wanted the cake, a part of me still couldn't feel at ease. A tiny fear lingered in my heart. What if he didn't remember, or worse, forgot? I knew I shouldn't think like that, but the truth was, I felt a bit of doubt. He had agreed to buy the cake. But would he get it right? The afternoon passed, and I received a message from him. "Work is crazy today. I'll be about 20 minutes late." Time went on, and I imagined him being busy, but quickly heading out to pick up the cake, as if everything was going according to plan. I imagined my birthday being brought to life with the perfect cake and everything turning out wonderfully. I could already picture the happiness I would feel when I received that gift. But after 20 minutes of waiting, he still hadn't returned. And then, the door opened and he walked in with an unhappy expression. I stood up, my eyes eagerly searching for the cake, but he walked in empty-handed. Disappointment washed over me. I could only whisper, "The cake." He looked at me, then sighed. "You said you didn't want it anymore," he replied, his voice tense. I was stunned, unable to believe my ears. "You didn't go get the cake?" I asked, my voice trembling. He turned back and shook his head. "No, I didn't go. Work was too hectic. I got pulled into something else." His words hit me like a slap. The disappointment was overwhelming, not because of the cake, but because of his lack of understanding, his lack of care. What I wanted wasn't just the cake, it was the attention, the understanding, the respect for what I had clearly communicated. That gift wasn't just about the material thing, it was about the sentiment, the thoughtfulness in our relationship. I couldn't hold back my feelings any longer. Tears started to fall, not because of the cake, but because I felt abandoned, like my desires didn't matter at all. Those tears weren't just sadness, they were the deep disappointment in how he had treated my wishes. Everything I had hoped for from him, from love and care, seemed to fade in the face of excuses that didn't seem worth it. My tears kept flowing, even though I tried to stop them. I couldn't control my emotions and just stood there, silently letting the tears fall. He looked at me, his eyes filled with helplessness. "I'm sorry, I didn't think it would turn out like this." He stepped toward me, intending to comfort me, but I took a step back, not wanting him to feel like he could ease my pain right away. "You promised," I said, my voice choking. "You promised to bring the cake I wanted. It's not about the cake, but about you not paying attention to what I needed." He sat down beside me, his hands reaching out to take mine, trying to calm me down. "I'm sorry, truly sorry. I didn't think it through. Let me make it right, I'll do something for you. Please stop crying." But I couldn't stop crying. I wasn't just crying for the cake, but for the lack of care from him. How could I forget all that I had done for him, all that I had shown in this relationship, just to be met with this disappointment? Finally, I stopped crying a little. He was still there, but I couldn't look him in the eye. "I don't want your apology. I want action. I want you to understand that what I want isn't meaningless. Don't you get it?" I had imagined that moment, the moment you'd bring the cake, look at me, and smile. And I had hoped that this would be a special day, not because of the cake, but because of your care. He sat in silence, as if reflecting on what had just happened. After a while, he spoke, but his voice seemed more like a way to comfort than to explain. "I don't understand what you're feeling right now," he said, "but I'll do whatever it takes to make you feel cared for." I didn't know whether to believe his words. Honestly, I wasn't hopeful about his promises anymore. This wasn't the first time he had said he would do this or that, only for nothing to actually happen. Maybe I had grown too used to accepting apologies without real change. After a moment, he stood up and walked out. A coldness filled the room. I felt lost in my own thoughts. I thought about the cake, about what I had expected, and what I had actually received. Was I just expecting something he couldn't give? Not long after, I received a text from him. "I'll order the cake for you right now, and I'll get flowers too. I know you want this, I'm sorry again." But at that moment, I no longer felt excitement or anticipation. I wasn't interested in the cake anymore. His words felt like excuses for his shortcomings. I no longer looked at the cake, but at the reality that in the most important moments, he couldn't show me the care I had hoped for. 2 days later, the cake and the large bouquet of flowers from the florist arrived at the house. He had done what he promised, at least materially. The flowers were the kind I had always dreamed of. Bright red roses mixed with pure white chrysanthemums, forming a stunning bouquet. The cake was exactly as I had requested, with green frosting and colorful sprinkles, but I couldn't bring myself to feel happy. This gift, though beautiful, couldn't make me feel joy. As I looked at the cake, a cold feeling washed over me. Yes, it was the cake I had asked for, and it was perfect in appearance. But why couldn't I enjoy it? Part of me couldn't forget the disappointment I felt when he walked in 2 days ago empty-handed. Was this cake and these flowers just a way for him to placate me, rather than truly understanding what I wanted for my birthday? I sat there, staring at the cake while he placed the bouquet on the table and sat next to me in silence. We didn't speak for a while. He seemed uneasy, as if he was searching for an explanation, a way to break the heavy silence between us. But I didn't know where to begin. His apologies no longer held any meaning for me. "I know you wanted this cake. You wanted this," he finally spoke. "I did it right, didn't I?" I looked at him, disappointment in my eyes, which I couldn't hide. "You did it right, but not in the way I expected," I replied. "The cake and flowers aren't the gift I wanted. They don't make up for what happened." He sat quietly, his head lowered, as though my words had struck a chord with him. I could feel his regret in his gaze, but it still couldn't erase the feelings I was going through. It wasn't just the loss of trust in the cake, it was the loss of understanding from him. This gift wasn't the love I had hoped for. It was just him trying to make up for his past mistake. "I know you don't want just material things," he sighed. "I know you need more care than these gifts." That feeling, the insecurity in this relationship, still couldn't go away. Even if he tried to make up for it, the pain I had felt was still there. I didn't need expensive gifts or late apologies. What I needed was understanding, for him to show that he knew what I wanted and that he was willing to do those things without needing to be pushed or offer excuses. I didn't respond to him immediately, just glanced at the cake again. It wasn't because it wasn't beautiful, but because it no longer had any meaning to me, and when I looked into his eyes, I felt like I was lost in this relationship. He could bring home as many cakes and flowers as he wanted, but perhaps the only thing I truly needed was something he couldn't give me: sincere care from the very beginning. He sat there, silent, saying nothing more. The atmosphere between us grew heavier with every passing second. I looked at the cake and the fresh flowers on the table, but my feelings didn't change. I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened 2 days ago, when he hadn't done what he promised. This time, even with the cake and flowers, what I truly needed, attention and understanding, was still missing. "Why couldn't you listen to me?" I asked, my eyes no longer filled with hope, only deep disappointment. "I didn't want the gift. I didn't want these things. I just wanted you to understand me." He looked at me, his face full of exhaustion and sadness. "I'm sorry. I didn't think things would turn out like this." "Didn't think things through?" I repeated, my voice trembling with emotion. "You don't understand what I want, so how can you call yourself someone who cares? This isn't a gift, do you know that? A gift is when you truly pay attention, truly understand me, and know what I need." A long silence followed. We just looked at each other, but no one said anything. I no longer saw any hope in my eyes, just emptiness. I wanted him to understand that expensive gifts or late apologies couldn't replace genuine care. Love isn't something that can be bought with money. It's about understanding and him taking the initiative to care about me. He sighed and stood up, walking over to the cake and beginning to cut it. I stayed sitting there, feeling as if everything was just a performance. He cut a piece and handed it to me, but I couldn't eat it. Not because the cake wasn't good, but because I couldn't eat something that I had hoped would be a meaningful gift. Every bite felt like a reminder that sometimes love isn't enough, and apologies can't change what has already happened. "You don't understand, do you?" I said gently but firmly. "I need you to listen. I need you to care about what I want, not just on special days, but every day." He didn't respond immediately, just quietly sat next to me. Our relationship wasn't just about receiving gifts or giving apologies. It was about understanding and commitment. Part of me had hoped that he would realize that, but I also knew that if he didn't change, I would have to decide whether to continue or not. I looked at him, and in that moment, I felt like I had to make a decision. Maybe I had expected too much from someone who couldn't give me what I needed. A gift isn't just material. It's about genuine care and love. And if he couldn't understand that, maybe it was time for this relationship to come to an end. Those thoughts kept swirling in my mind as he sat beside me, silent, unaware that the decision about our future had already started to form in my mind.